Well, greetings viewers and voyeurs, gothatfunk here, and I wanted to do a quick video response to my good friend Rogue Combatant. He did a video yesterday which I thought was pretty thought-provoking, called Create Your World. And Don asked many questions in the video, too many for me to actually comprehensively answer in this video. But the gist of it was, what if there was a gene that could be identified that made people believe in God? And then Don asked, if that was the case, what if we could remove that from the human experience? I mean, say for example, we could go back in time and turn back the clock, and what would human history have been if we'd never had that gene in the first place? Well, I suppose it betrays a lack of imagination on my part, Don, because I've thought about this my whole life. What would human beings' existence be like if religion had never gotten created? And I completely have no answer for that. I really, really don't know, because certainly as far as the Western world is concerned, religion is so heavily imbued in our history, it's difficult for me to imagine what would have happened. And so that's one thing. You then go on to ask the question, what if we could identify this gene now and isolate it and suppress it or remove it? Would I be in favor of that? And as I said to you in comments, I wouldn't be in favor of that, because that is straight up eugenics. That's messing with the genome for behavioral reasons, something that I disapprove of in the strongest possible terms. Um, Basically, just on principle, but in practical reasons, I would be against it for a couple of reasons. Number one, I find it impossible to comprehend that there could be a gene that the one gene would be responsible for belief in God or the supernatural. Um, Characteristics, behavioral and personality characteristics and traits and psychological aspects and whatever often have whole groups of characteristics that are associated to each other. And so for me, it's like, how can you pull a thread out of that carpet without the whole thing coming unraveled? How can you pull out the ability to believe in something impossible like God and not affect things like creativity or imagination in general? Because God is the product of imagination. So it stands to reason to me that if you diminish the ability to believe in something as fantastic as God, then you have diminished the capacity for imagination. So, I tend to think of, psychological characteristics and behavioral characteristics. There's associated traits that often come in groups, and they vary in degrees between individuals. And I really don't think that you can remove such a fundamental piece of the puzzle without the whole puzzle coming apart. So that's just my opinion. It's not really based on any scientific knowledge. It's just a gut sort of instinctual reaction. Okay, I'm really not that well read when it comes to genetics, I have to admit. So maybe I'm just blowing steam. I don't know. But bottom line is, I personally don't think I would ever do that or could approve of that kind of thing. Instead of blowing steam, I'll just blow some steam real quick for you. Toot 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 toot. There we go. Anyway, as far as what do I think the world will be like now if we could remove it and people chose to remove it, I don't necessarily think it would improve a goddamn thing. Um, I think human beings being more rational should be a choice. It shouldn't be forced upon anybody. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about suppression or removal of a gene against someone's will, because in order to make it effective, you would have to do it before they were born, as is the case in the Star Trek universe. I mean, I'm not sure how many people are aware of this, but in the Next Generation in Star Trek Voyager, sort of Star Trek universe, genetic suppression is exactly how they deal with things like criminality and psychotic behavior and so on. Those genes are suppressed in the womb before you're even born, so that you don't even have a choice to act on those inclinations. And I'm all about choice. I think human beings should act on their conscience. Otherwise, what's the point of having a conscience? I don't think empathy can be real if you can't uh, know what the consequences of not being empathetic might be like. So yeah, I think I'm rambling a bit much now, but I think you get the gist of where I'm coming from. I hope you do anyway, because I don't want to make this fucking video again. All right. Anyway, Don, thanks for the thought-provoking video. I hope you're doing well, man. Peace, and may all your ups and downs be ups.